What's up, guys? I'm Lucy.
And I'm Tamoor.
And we're here at Gamescom 2016, celebrating the games, but more specifically, we're celebrating the VR games.
Kind of. Yeah.
But, I mean, it feels like, you know, you were saying earlier to me that you felt like Oculus maybe wasn't focusing on the games as much. You think about when Vive got announced, and it was more focused on really experiences like the Deep and like Tilt Brush. Now we're getting the games.
Yeah.
The games are coming thick and fast for VR. We've been playing a bunch of them.
Yeah, the one I want to, like when I went to my appointment, I was like, I can't think of many Oculus games that really stand out for me. And then I played Wilson's Heart, which was quite interesting. It feels like a lot of games that we're getting right now, these kind of first-person horror, kind of attention-focused puzzle games.
Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson. So like you're walking around this kind of hospital and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But the key part of my experience was the touch controller. This is the first time I've used the touch controller. It's not out yet, but it's coming out very soon. And I think that becomes a gateway to more traditional gaming experiences, or like bigger, more interesting depth gaming experiences. So like with the touch controller, I was picking up a lot of bottles, and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was just kind of using it as an experiment for the controller, and it's really cool. You can control fingers like individually. So I was picking things up and like throwing them around. And the lady giving our demo was just like, this is not how this is supposed to be played. And at one point I was just kind of testing the fidelity of it, and I was juggling at one point, and it actually worked pretty well. Like, I'm not good at juggling, so it was like, and I managed to catch it. But like someone who's good at juggling, I can conceive, you know, to do the juggling thing. That kind of fidelity, it's not a controller, but it's almost kind of like a controller. I feel like it gives me some more control over VR games, the kind of controller I would want as a console, PC, traditional type gamer.
Okay. Well, I was on the Vive. I played a bunch of games. So I played Serious Sam in VR, which was way more intense than I was anticipating. I did not... Like, my arms were hurting at the end of it, because you're not just shooting at the ground, you're shooting up here, really quickly, really intense. But it also had, it's kind of shocking, like when they come, because when you're playing the Vive, obviously you have like the grid around you, so you don't bump into walls and stuff, and you think that you're kind of going to be safe because you have that grid, but when the characters like come towards you and the screen's going red because you're being hit, it's quite scary. But another game that I played, which was really cool, and it was very, very sci-fi, was Space Pirate Trainer.
Yeah.
And they gave us some awesome mixed reality footage of this, so you can see like what it was like for me. You're standing in the middle of like this training zone, all these drones are coming firing at you. You can fire back at them, which was awesome, and you can like flick them and, you know, sort of kill with skill essentially. Oh, bit of bullet storm there. But you know what I mean? It's like, it was more fun, and it was more engaging than just being in an experience where you're just watching something. And we played the Batman VR experience, I guess, and we loved that. But I thought this was more like a traditional game. It's like being back at an arcade again, but obviously more immersive, better graphics.
I guess, like during my Oculus appointment, I spoke to Jason Rubin, who's the co-founder of Naughty Dog and worked at THQ for a while. So he's been making games for a long, long time. He's a very traditional game developer and designer, and he's head of studios at Oculus right now. And that's one of the questions I asked him. I asked him, like, are we ever going to get to the point where we'll be able to play a Skyrim type experience, and games on the Oculus Vive and even PlayStation VR somewhat will feel less like tech demos and more like fully fledged games? And he thinks that we're going to get there pretty quickly. Like, developers are very quickly figuring out the issues that prevent it from happening right now. And he was like, I reckon like it's going to be a dominant form of gaming within like less than 10 years. I mean, and that isn't very long. That's a couple of generations of a console. I mean, a console generation can last between 4 and 8 years, 4 and 5 years, let's say. So yeah, I think we've got I'm more optimistic about VR than I was when I went in, partly because of Batman. I think PlayStation VR gets a lot of credibility by, you know, linking itself to franchises and just being tied to PlayStation. And I think Oculus are doing quite well at pushing the game stuff, like the traditional mechanic-heavy game stuff with the touch controller. And Vive, you know, they're doing really interesting experiential things. Like, it's still quite expensive for me.
That is probably the one thing that is a barrier for me at the moment, is the cost. But obviously, as the tech gets better, the price will come down, it's more accessible. So I'm excited, I'm more optimistic about the future.
Yeah, my interest in it has kind of like raised after this event.
So for more on everything from Gamescom 2016, make sure, of course, to stay tuned to GameSpot.com.